It's Thursday, August 24th. This is an end of the day SPY recap, and today we end up on the daily chart with a outside 3 bar to the downside, where we kind of started above the high of the previous day, worked down past the midpoint of that day, and then took out the low of that day and closed red on the day. So we're expecting a little lower tomorrow. I'll get into that in a second, but the concept for today was all week long, you're really looking for this reversal to the downside. Talked about on previous videos how, until we get this weekly chart turning up, there's still continuity and targets down here on the monthly chart. And, the up bar would have to kind of occur either as a a 2 down, then a 2 up, or an inside bar that goes up, or this could have been a green bar that, made a new 2 up high, starting all the way from down here if it went up day after day. But other than that, there's no real change on the weekly chart to the upside yet, and you're anticipating a potential move lower. Those, I said, would be the best trades. And you had this red bar from last week, so you kind of think that maybe that low should be tested. So what you had for this week, after this little green reversal bar on Friday, the first day it wasn't surprising to get a little bounce. Then you had the potential sell-off here that opened up, gapped up, and I can go through, if you look at the 15-minute chart, I can go day by day. This is today, Wednesday, Tuesday, and Monday. So the Monday chart, even that one, opened up a little bit as you expected after that Friday green bar and came all the way down. I shot review videos on all these days. Once it made this big red bar, you kind of suspected the intraday low was going to take out. It only got to the halfway point of the prior day, and then we had the big push up to end the day. So you kind of suspected the high would be taken out. But even this day, what was that? On Tuesday, then had opened up gap, but then it just consolidated and it gave you a good short trade with opening price action to the downside. Again, this one only reached the midpoint of the prior day. If we look at the daily chart, this gap up here only came down to the midpoint of the prior day. So you didn't get that full reversal, but it was, it was a good trade to the short side. Then you kind of were expecting to go lower. This was yesterday, but you started above the midpoint and actually started higher. So there was no, opportunity to go short at all, but you're still kind of looking for that failure to the upside, and that was what really developed today in a pretty clear way. You had the big gap up, but price was really weakening towards the open. A lot of stocks that had gapped up had big red bars to start the day. The SPY kind of went down, but didn't really follow through on bar 2. Then bar 2 kind of consolidated, and you didn't know at that point, are you going to start up to test those highs, or are you going to come down? And then you had this big red bar down. This was bar number 3 on the SPY. It was evident on other charts that there was a lot of weakness. That was the sign to get short in terms of intraday structure, and it just wasn't surprising at all given the continuity that you were going to come down all the way through the midpoint of this bar. And once you hit that, then you're looking for the outside bar to the downside. You had your one push down, pause, kind of a second push down, and it went down all day long. So you finally got that move to the downside. Now we have a 3 bar. There's no real actionable signal here, but the only way we start turning up from here is some kind of, it could be a 2 down, 2 up river. Every so often you get a 3 bar down, a 3 bar up. I'm not expecting that. If you get a 2 down bar, then a 2 up, that could be a reversal. If we get an inside bar tomorrow, that could reverse to the upside. But it would be rare that it would continue, or you get an immediate reversal tomorrow. So you are expecting lower here. We still have 1 day to go to take that weekly low out. If we end up with an inside bar tomorrow, we don't quite reach that target, we end up somewhere in here, then you'll see what side of this inside bar you're closest to start next week. If we start kind of down here, then you kind of expect Monday, Tuesday, something like that, to take out this low and then reach the weekly low. And at that point, the weekly low it would be 2 weeks ago then, starting next week. So we'll have to see what happens tomorrow, but the more this bar really closes weak, the more you're anticipating these lows taken out. And I still think in the big picture on the monthly chart, you're working into this fair value gap lower. So the bias is still down. You finally had a good, reversal day today. It was good opening price action to get short. You didn't know for sure, you kind of suspected you'd take out the pre-market range low, which is the blue line. Then once it got below here and just started sliding slicing through. You kind of just, you knew you were below the halfway point of the previous day, and therefore you're going to take the lows of the previous day. And then, once it tried to bounce there, obviously, but the secondary trade kind of took us down towards that next target down here, and it actually turned the weekly chart red below the yellow line. So anyway, bias to the downside. It's been that way all week. Had a couple of good trades, to the downside 2 days ago, and then today there was even a good trade to the long side yesterday, just kind of knowing you kind of failed that move down and then started up above the midpoint of that bar. So if somehow we gap up strong tomorrow, anything's possible, but I'm anticipating lower in line with the bigger picture. This was that trend we were talking about to the downside, that you could easily get some kind of like a 1, 2, 3 pullback before it eventually, continues along that down channel to the downside. So that's what's unfolding until proven otherwise. Again, until this weekly chart turns up, I'm not going to be really too excited about buy trades, and I'm more excited about sell trades, and that's what we had today.